Where are we going?
New Zealand.
This is insane. I don't know if this ranger's gonna get up here. I'm Keelan and this is Sarah. We have been fishing, surfing, full driving our way around Australia for the past year now. Meet Percy and Keith Urban, our trusty steeds. Subscribe to join our adventure. G'day legends, welcome back. No, this isn't a green screen behind us. This is the real deal. This is Lake Pukaki. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, we're here now. We thought we'd bring you this episode. Obviously we're already in New Zealand, but we've been asked a lot of questions about our trip.
And about 1,000 times.
Yeah, so the same questions keep coming up, and yeah, we're going to address them today. A fair few of you guys think, how the hell are you guys now in New Zealand? Weren't you just in Australia? And that is correct. We have been travelling Australia for the past year. We have a caravan and a car in Australia.
So today in this episode we're going to answer all of your questions that you've sent through to us. We're going to answer why we're in New Zealand and how we are travelling around New Zealand. We're going to look at the logistics of getting a car and caravan to New Zealand, and if you don't want to bring your own, how much it does cost to hire a car and a caravan.
Or a motorhome.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one, guys, because there is some logistical difficulties, as you could imagine, transferring a setup over the South Pacific all the way to the South Island or the North Island. So we're going to be in New Zealand for the next 4 weeks. We sort of just got here. We just did the Christchurch Adventure and Leisure Show, which was awesome. Met a lot of you guys. We're blown away by how many New Zealanders actually watch our channel. So
we thought we'd just be sitting there twiddling our thumbs the whole day. But
yeah, it was actually an awesome couple days. So thank you so much if you did come down. You guys know who you are. So our trip is going to comprise of us just doing the South Island this time.
Yeah.
We didn't want to spread ourselves too thin, and 4 or 5 weeks isn't sort of enough to do both islands, we were told. So we thought, bugger it, we'll just do the South Island. We won't spread ourselves too thin.
And it was also cost as well. Like, we've already spent so much money getting here. We didn't want to then fork out another, I think it was going to cost us $800 or $500 to get our setup across to the North Island.
Which is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So in the big scheme of things, $800 doesn't sound like much, but when you're traveling full time doing what we do,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, you know, even $100 is a lot of money. So we're going to talk about some of the hidden costs in New Zealand too that you may not have thought of. We'll get right into that. So first of all, we'll answer the biggest elephant in the room. Did we take our car and caravan to New Zealand?
No, we did not.
Exactly right. Sporters Caravans, so they've been kind enough to provide a caravan for us. It is an urban, so we haven't gone against sacrilegious. We are very much still with urban, and we are representing them in New Zealand as well, which is super exciting for us because we don't think there's anyone else that have an international connection like that. So we're very lucky, very fortunate.
We're very proud.
And we're very proud as well. It's a great product. So that's one question. Percy is not here either. We've got a hire vehicle. I'm happy to reveal the hire vehicle that we have, but we're going to keep what caravan we got a secret until the first episode of the New Zealand trip. So you're going to have to watch that this weekend, which is airing Friday afternoon. It'll be at 7 o'clock New Zealand time, so it'll be around 5 o'clock Australian time. Tune in and find out everything there. Anyway, we've got a Ford Ranger, which has been doing the trick so far. It's a big van what we've got. It's over 3 tons. And one thing we keep saying is that we're so surprised about the terrain over in New Zealand. Like in Australia, we get things like hills and flat spots, where in New Zealand you get mountains, and then when even the flat spots are hills. Like there's no dead flat ground in New Zealand. It's always
all windy.
Yeah.
Everyone did message us and say, like, guys, it's so windy. It's going to take you so long to travel around. And we're like, oh yeah, we'll be right. But yeah, it's windy.
Yeah, pretty much. What we need to talk about next is the time frame about sending your car and caravan from Australia all the way to New Zealand, and also the cost. So Sarah's done a bit of research.
So I've just had a slight research, and when I looked at it, it was about $5.5 to $6.5 grand for a 20-foot sea container. So obviously for us, our van is 16 foot, and then Percy as well. So we would have had to get 2 sea containers.
Yeah.
So just to bring our setup over here, we would have been looking at around 10 grand.
That's roughly, you know, and that might be...
I think that was only one way too.
Yeah, and that might be a grand shy either way. Like we said, it's a rough estimate,
Yeah.
but also not just about the money though, it's the time that we'd lose. And like you guys know, we live in our van full time in Australia. To get it shipped over to New Zealand, you've sort of got to give yourself a couple weeks either side. I know for a fact when Urban was shipping these vans over from Melbourne for the Christchurch show, it took them over a month to get from mainland Australia to New Zealand over the South Pacific.
Yeah.
So,
and then the next thing is that New Zealand has very, very different regulations for caravans to Australia. So
Yeah.
all of the Australian vans that have come over, they've then had to go over the pits again. They have to get special stuff plumbed in.
gas
yeah.
certification, electrical certification. They have to pass a warrant of fitness, which is pretty much what we call in Australia the pits. You've then got to get it registered, and then there's a thing called the self-containment certification. So any sort of free camping you do in New Zealand, first of all, it's called freedom camping, not free camping anymore, freedom camping. So yeah, freedom camping, you've got to be self-sufficient. Yeah, self-sufficient. So it took me a while to get that out, but pretty well. You've got to install filters and stuff inside your van. It isn't just a matter of getting a sticker slapped on the back of your van. You've actually got to, you know, get some plumbing work done and change your Australian regulations to meet the New Zealand regulations. So if you are,
took about a day.
Yeah, and you know, it could have cost Fortis Caravans $500 per van, maybe even more. The gas bottles weren't compliant. They had to buy filters and all sorts of stuff. So it isn't cheap. So that's another sneaky little cost that you probably weren't thinking about if you were planning on taking your van over to New Zealand. And that's fine. We're here to help you guys and hopefully give you a better understanding about the costs. The next thing we'll talk about is how much it would cost to hire a vehicle and a caravan over here. So I've done a little bit of research and the Ranger that we've got now is around $1,000 per week as a tow vehicle, a four-wheel drive tow vehicle. So it isn't one of those hire vehicles where you can't take it on the off the bitchy.
Can't take it off road.
So it can go on the bitumen. It's a full drive and it can also tow.
You just said it can go on the bitumen, it's a 4-wheel drive.
Sorry, you know what I mean. It can go off the bitumen, $1,000 a week just for the car, and then to get a camper van / caravan over here, it's around about $500 a week to get something half decent. So you're looking at around $1,500 a week just to hire a setup if you wanted to go that way. So
what about the little camper vans?
Camper vans, you can get a Juicy van or like, you know, one of them, it's just a Toyota Hiace or a Hyundai or whatever. They're around about $400 to $600 a week.
We have noticed over here that it is mainly like motorhomes or on-road vans.
Yep.
We haven't seen many. We saw one other off-road caravan so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you drive this thing around, we won't show you, but it's a beast. The clearance is out of control. So when you drive this thing around down the streets, people are just like snapping their necks, you know. You feel like a bit of a superstar driving this thing. It's definitely not what we're used to. Anyway, so now you guys have sort of got them questions answered, hopefully.
So the next part we want to address is the cost. So we've had a lot of people messaging us, asking us about the cost of living in New Zealand, how much a trip like this would cost. So we've talked about the cost of a car and a caravan. The next part you need to consider is flights over here. So it cost us $1,700 to get to Christchurch.
That's
and
return,
back.
yeah.
Yep. The next part was a hotel room, so we went quite cheap and it cost us about $800 for 6 nights in Christchurch. Then there's groceries and experiences. Groceries are about a third more expensive than in Australia. So whatever you spend in Australia, add a third of that price.
Which is ridiculous considering the wages over here are actually less than Australia, so go figure that. I don't know how people can live here. Fuel prices at the moment in New Zealand are around $3.
Insane.
Mind blown. $3 for fuel, and that's diesel's actually cheaper than petty, which is weird because in Australia it's opposite. But if you go premium petrol, it's around $3.50 per litre, which is insane. If you owned a Y62, you'd be absolutely buggered. Anyway, we diverge. So phone plans for us. Obviously we can't just run Telstra bills, rack up massive international fees, blah blah blah. So we've gone and got a Spark membership, which is the best coverage in New Zealand apparently. We did a bit of research. So Spark, that cost us around $139 each, and that's for unlimited data, so we can upload videos like this. So all up is about $260 just for that. Sarah's talked about food, flights. There's so many different costs in this trip so far, and we think roughly we've spent about $4,000 and we've only been here for a week and a half. Obviously that'll plateau out because hotels and flights and stuff, but we got a bloke playing the horn up on the hill here. Anyway, that's the cost. I hope that didn't shock you too much. $4 and a bit grand in a week and a half.
It's a lot of money.
Obviously the caravan was provided courtesy of 4X4 Caravans in Christchurch, which is great because, to be honest with you, we couldn't afford to hire a van, and the car, obviously that $1,000 a week we spoke about before is courtesy of 4X4 Caravans, but we didn't want anyone thinking that this is a free trip. We pay our way most of the time, and this is definitely paying our way.
Also, it is okay for content creators to get paid for trips.
That's
because
right.
that's such a normal thing. There's travel content creators, and it's very normal.
Yeah. Anyway, we diverge even more.
Yeah.
So behind us here, like I said, we're at Lake Pukaki or something like that. Yoo-hoo! I think this is a traditional horn player. He's got like a thing.
Amazing stuff. They're filming it, so maybe it'll be on YouTube.
Go watch his channel. So this is Lake Pukaki. It's absolutely beautiful. We've got a stunning day today. We're going to stay here for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
In the next 4 weeks on our trip, stay tuned. We're hopefully going to be filming 4 episodes, so 4 weekly episodes for you guys, doing the exact same stuff we do in Australia. Hopefully get a surf in. I've brought my surfboard. I just bought a really thick wetsuit, so I'm going to use that hopefully.
Few holes in it, but
Yeah.
she'll be right.
I saw some people fishing out the bloody creek before. I don't know if they call them creeks over here. I think they're bloody lakes. I think there's some salmon around, so hopefully we can get a bit of fishing done as well. We're going to do a full rundown of the caravan.
But it is a caravan. There's your first hint.
So if you want to find out, go to our Instagram, because that's
Yeah.
where we've already shown it. But anyway, we're going to do a full run through, walk through of this caravan. It's spectacular. And we're also going to do a review on the Ranger. Obviously we're Toyota people through and through. Don't shoot us for that, because we are using a Ford Ranger, and so far I'm pleasantly surprised how it's going, towing 3.1 tons. So we're gonna, we're gonna do a review video on that, and pretty much go through if we think it's a really good tow vehicle for Australia and New Zealand. So
After 4 weeks.
and one thing we can tell you is Percy the Prado would be going backwards with this van on. These in New Zealand, they don't get hills, they get freaking mountains, and that's what we didn't understand before we got here either. We thought it was going to be pretty flat tack, but tell you what, it's been nothing but hills and mountains. So first episode we dive straight into that, and like I said, that's going to be on Friday afternoon around, I think it'll be around 5 o'clock Australian time. So Melbourne time, yeah.
So before we wrap it up, one last thing. Obviously we're here with 4X4 Caravans. They are now New Zealand's official urban dealer. So if you are interested in looking at an urban caravan
and you're from New Zealand, be very clear about that.
Yeah. Then you go to 4X4 Caravans. So they're on Instagram, check them out. They've got a few photos of the urban up already, but yeah, they're your dealer in New Zealand.
Yeah, which is super exciting. International dealings now. Urban's blowing up, and it's for good reason. It's a quality product, and we stand behind it. Anyway, guys, we diverge even more. Thanks heaps for supporting us. Without you guys, this trip wouldn't have happened for us. You guys watching, liking, commenting, sharing, telling your friends, all that jazz. It goes such a long way to helping us grow as a channel and to get opportunities like this. So we are super blessed. We haven't seen any Australian YouTubers go to New Zealand yet, so we're super happy to be the first. And like I said, it's because of you legends. It's not too much because of what we're doing. We're just average Joe Blows with really good support network. So anyway, guys, thanks heaps for watching. Like always, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe down below. Give us a like and fling us a comment too. We love hearing from you. And go watch this video right here, and we'll see you this Friday for the first New Zealand episode. Woo! Oh, my hip. Click my hip flexor.